All right, everybody. On behalf of Majesty Title, I want to welcome you guys to how to tell your clients that it's the most wonderful time of the year to sell your home. That title is a mouthful, but we're going to have some fun today. This is one of my favorite things to kind of push towards the end of the year because everyone starts winding down and saying they don't want to sell or they don't want to work or blah, blah, blah. But the people that take advantage of the next, 25 days or so are usually the ones that end up having the best following year. So those of you that are on, hopefully will get to take advantage of that. Thanks to everybody that is on. And on behalf of Majesty Title, want to welcome you guys. So this is a newer time slot for us and a newer brand here. So we have a couple of different locations on here. So if you are from the St. Pete area, if you're from the Melbourne area or the Tampa area, we have you covered across all of those. So welcome and thank you guys for jumping on. Every week moving forward, this will be the same time, Monday at 9 o'clock. If you live in any of those areas, we are here to serve you in all of those areas and we'll help get you guys connected to the right people. So our agenda for today, we're going to talk about 7 or 8 ways to kind of help convince people that now is the right time to sell their home and why they should do it. And I'm going to give you some scripts, some strategies, and just some key pointers to make sure that you know what you're doing, what you're focusing on here before the end of the year. If you are one of the people that is choosing to actually work now, like I said, I know a lot of people take off now and they, kind of sign off and tag off for the end of the year. But the people that are working are going to make it work. So a little bit about me. My name's Ryan McHugh. I work with all of our fantastic people at Majesty. If you have not connected with us yet, or if we've not done a deal yet, we're looking forward to working with you. If there's anything that we can do to help, please let us know. I come from the real estate sales side. I ran the largest sales team in the state for about 3 years. We did between 40 and 50 closings a month, every month for about 36 or 38 months in a row. And then I ran the largest real estate office in the state of Florida for a couple of years, 5 years in a row also. So now I just focus on helping you guys grow your business. So what we ask is that if you learn something from this class today, and you take it and you put it into action, you turn it into a way to make money, you give us the opportunity to earn your title business. So what we will do is I will tag everybody in and let everybody kind of say who they are at the end. But we have Kimberly Martin, who services the Tampa area, Megan Gates, who services the St. Pete area, and Elizabeth Jones, I'm not sure if she's on yet, who is in the Melbourne area. So if you have any title needs, please connect with those people. All right, let us dive in here and talk about why it's the most wonderful time of the year to sell your home. So these are the 3 things that you're going to hear. If you haven't heard them already, you're going to be hearing them over the next couple of weeks for sure. This week is pretty much the last week of normal. I always consider this week the last week of normal before the holiday, I guess, pre-hangover kind of sets into effect. So you're going to start hearing these 3 things. I don't want to sell now. I'm too busy, right? I want to wait until the new year, or I want to wait until after the holidays. And for some people, Hanukkah has already been a thing for us, or some people have used that as an excuse. People even use Thanksgiving, right? Because they have people coming to the house. They're going to use Christmas. We know they're going to use New Year's. All these different things that they're going to use as excuses, we know are coming up. And I promise you, every one of you guys is going to hear one of these 3 things for sure. I don't want to sell. I'm too busy. I'm going to wait until the end of the year or the new year, and I'm going to wait until after the holidays. And what I want to do today is kind of cover all the ways that you can get around that. And you can beat these things, because the agents that take advantage of beat these things are the one that have the best year next year. So let's talk about number 1, or reason number 1 why now is the most wonderful time to sell. It's the lowest supply ever, right? Ever. We know inventory is low. We've been hearing it all across the states. Our numbers are different. I understand that. Where I'm at in Palm Beach County, the inventory months of inventory, which is the stat that we measure, that's how I measure it at least, is under 1 month, which is insane. That means if the MLS stopped MLSing today and no new houses were allowed to come on the market within a month, we'd be out of houses for all the people that are moving here. Crazy. But when we look at some numbers and some stats, I just want you to think about this, right? 2021 has left us with the lowest inventory in the history of real estate. There's never been less inventory in real estate than there is right now. And really over the last 6 months, and it looks like that's going to continue at least over the next couple of months as well. Now, historically, we already know that the winter and the holidays are already low inventory. So we're kind of double stacking the problem here. And towards the end of 2020, inventory was getting lower, but it wasn't as bad and as crazy as it is right now. It is bad now, right, guys? And I guess in theory, it's good for us if we're working on the seller side, which is what most of us try to do and strive to do. It's good to be on this side of the business because, if you take a listing in 30 days or so, you're getting paid. And it's not going to be that hard. You can do the 3 Ps, right? Put a sign in the yard, put it in the MLS, and pray that it sells. And when the market is tough, that doesn't always work, but right now that definitely does work. And we're hearing these same things, and we put these in the first slide, but I need to reiterate them. Inventory is low because of rates, because of COVID, because of prices, because the holidays, and because people are still saying these two things. And no matter what happens, this is a good way to counterbalance the people that are saying it, is by proving them that other people are saying it, right? They're going to wait until after the new year. They're going to wait until after the holidays. So there's less stuff on the market right now. And we know low inventory equals less competition equals higher prices equals happier sellers, it equals us getting paid more, right? It's good all the way around. So when we start meeting with the sellers and they say, you know, why should I sell now? You're going to say, because it's the lowest supply ever. You need to take advantage of the fact that the winter months, the holiday months are already low inventory. We need to take advantage of the fact that 2021 has beaten us up to the lowest inventory that we've ever had. We need to take advantage of the fact that people are going to wait until the new year. And the first couple of days of new year, the market floods. It always does, right? We need to take advantage of the people that say they're going to wait until after the holidays, or they're lazy, or they don't really need to sell. Because less inventory means less competition that you're competing against to sell, right? It's less competition for the seller. So if you're not conveying this message to your sellers or potential sellers yet, you need to. Number 2, the formula of the market versus affordability is better for sellers now than ever before. And it might possibly be the best it's ever going to be, like forever, like literally right now, within the next 6 weeks or so. A lot of things to look at, right? High prices, high rents, low rates. But the question is, for how long? So we look at prices, and real estate is the highest it's ever been, right? Real estate literally has never been this high. If you look back to 06, which is when everybody thinks it was the highest in very a large amount of areas. Right now, the prices are 10, 15, 20, 25% higher than they were then. So high prices, right? Then let's talk high rents. Rents are higher now than they've ever been. 1, because prices are high. 2, because for the last 2 years, landlords have gotten beaten up. Some of them haven't received money at all. Some of them have received, small amounts of money. Some of them have dealt with tenants intentionally, kind of gaming the system and not paying. So they're trying to make that back now, right? They need to make that back now. So rents are higher now than they've ever been. And rates are low, right? Over the course of this year, we've flirted with that number between historically low, all-time low. There have been days when it's hit the bottom. There have been days when it's hovered around the bottom. But the truth is, rates are on the tick back up right now. And the Fed needs to do this, right? They need to kind of help balance the rates back out to help the economy. At the end of the day, we can't keep money this cheap. It's impossible. Money cannot stay this cheap forever. And they've recognized that. So they've already said, that they're going to start ticking rates up once before the end of the year and once in the first quarter, and then 1 or 2 more times in 2022. When we look back, I did a Facebook Live a week or 2 ago that I'm going to turn into a full class here before the end of the year. But when we look back in our title operation, we get to kind of see what the rates are that everybody's closing at. And we get this big stat that shows, what the average rate at things were closed at. And for us this year, through about 2 weeks ago, it was right around Thanksgiving that I did it. Looking back then, through the entire year, the average rate that homes closed on in our title companies, and keep in mind, we're controlling, over 1,000 closings a month in all of our markets. So, we're doing the majority of the closings across the state of Florida. And when you look at these numbers, our average rate that we closed files at was 3.09%. And now these are refis and purchase monies of all kind, right? There's FHA mixed in there, there's jumbo, there's conventional, there's everything mixed in there. 3.09% was the average rate. And the Fed's goal by the end of next year is to get that average to 4%. So we're going to go up a full point, right? So that cuts out about $25,000 of affordability for people, meaning if they can afford a house right now that's $325, next year they can only afford a house that's $300, and they're still going to be making the same amount of money, right? But the numbers are going to go down because of the rate. And that also affects payment, right? If they want to afford the same house, it could be a couple $100 more, $125, $200 more, just by doing that same thing. So we have to ask ourselves, for how long is that formula of the market and the prices and the affordability going to last? And one of the things that you need to tell your sellers is that, listen, right now is the best time. And yeah, I know they're all saying, but where do I go if I sell? And I did a class on that with those scripts, right? But if that's what they're all asking, or that's what they're all saying is, where do I go if I sell? but they miss out on this opportunity. It could change their future. It could change their life. It could change retirement. It could change the financial picture for so many people. They need to sell now, and you need to help them understand rates are the highest they're ever going to be. I mean, prices are the highest they're ever going to be, right? Rents are probably the highest they're ever going to be. Rates are the lowest they're ever going to be. They're going to start ticking back up now, and who knows if we're ever going to see them go down lower. And we don't know how long that's going to last. So we need to take advantage of this, and the sellers need to take advantage of the perfect storm that is right now, because high prices are not that bad when affordability is good. That means affordability is still there. People can still afford these expensive homes in most of our market. But if that rate goes up a point, and the market cools a little bit, there's a very realistic situation that could happen by next year. Rate could be up, 1 full percent, and prices might flatten. And if that happens, we go from the perfect storm now, where it's the best time ever in the history of real estate for people to sell, to a downtrend next year. So we don't want that to happen. Number 3, the end of the year brings the unique benefits, and we need to remind our sellers of all the unique benefits that come with the end of the year. First of all, less volume. There's less deals being done from Thanksgiving until January 2nd, right? We beat that up already, and we've said it a couple of times because people say they want to wait till next year. The non-serious buyers and sellers are out of the market. So when there's less volume, meaning less deals being done, there's less stress on the vendors. And of course, that helps us, that helps the lenders, helps us as the title company. It helps your inspectors. It helps your insurance people. It helps your appraisers. When you look at the process, for a real estate closing right now, in all of our title companies, we have the ability to get things closed like in 2 weeks, right? In 7 to 10 business days, if everything lines up, we can do that. Right now, while everything is crazy and everything is stressed, our closing rate is still, by the way, 35 days right now across our company. Nationwide, we're closing files in 35 days, which is insane. But when we look at the things that are holding us up, it's not title. I'll just tell you guys, it's usually mortgage, and no, not picking on mortgage lenders. They're just overwhelmed, right? But it's usually mortgage. Almost anything with an HOA, estoppels are so backed up right now that there's nothing on the title side we can do about that. There's nothing your sellers can do about that. There's nothing the agents can do about that. But what's good right now is when there's less volume, less deals going on, there's less stress on the vendors. So we can get these things closed quicker, and less stress equals faster closing times, period. So even though we have holiday days mixed in here, and we give our people off as much as we possibly can around the holidays, and as you know, people take off like crazy around this time of the year, we're still closing files faster than ever because there's less stress on our systems, our processes, our people. So they're getting these deals done. And for you as agents, you need to explain this to the sellers, that less stress means a quicker closing, and a quicker closing right now can accommodate people and get this thing over with and make it work. There's always tax savings and benefits at the end of the year, right? Some people need to sell by the end of the year for certain tax reasons, and certain people need to buy before the end of the year for certain tax reasons. So those are always good. There's more days off taken between November 15th and January 2nd than any other time throughout the entire rest of the year. And what this means is there's more buyers that are out and able to house hunt, right? The serious buyers are out there house hunting. So we can do that. It's a good time right now for them to pay attention and understand that the end of the year is a great time to sell. And this is another reason. Number 4, the end of the year brings urgency. And this urgency is great for sellers, absolutely great for sellers. It's kind of horrible if you're on the buyer side, to be honest with you, but it's absolutely great for sellers. And they need to know that. Right now, job transfers, job changes are going to bring the relocation numbers to their absolute peak, right? The end of the year is when people find out that they're changing jobs or make their decision or they make their New Year's resolution or whatever. Now is the time when more people move. Corporate moves happen more now than any other time of the year. So we need to pay attention to that and let the sellers take advantage of that. The buyers that are looking right now through the holidays, they are the ones that are motivated, more serious, and more committed because they're actually out there making stuff happen right now, right? Does anybody actually want to be house hunting, on Christmas Eve or on Thanksgiving or Hanukkah or Kwanzaa or Festivus? Probably not, right? But if they're out there doing it, it's because they need to. It's because they're motivated. It's because they're more serious. They're more committed. And this is a benefit to sellers. You're not going to get those days where you get 25 showings and nobody writes an offer, right? You are going to get people that need to move in a very, very short period of time here. So they're going to go out, and if the house is close and it fits their needs, they're going to get it done. And this means they're higher quality buyers, and higher quality buyers bring higher quality prices, right? It's just common sense. There's less negotiation this time of the year. There's better terms. There's quicker deadlines. When we look at these things, we need to understand that all of these things are beneficial to the seller, and guiding our seller to wait until January 2 or 3 or 4 or 5 or whatever it is just not the correct guidance. For some people, they have family and they have kids and they don't need to move and they'd rather wait. I get it. But for the people that want to move and take advantage of the market at the best time possible, now is the time to move. And we need to help them understand that. Number 5, it's the most wonderful time of the year, like the song and the title of the class here today, right? But we need to look at this and understand all of these things are benefits to sellers. And if we're not thinking this way and explaining it, we're really missing out. So first of all, home is where the heart is, right? More decor, more family stuff gives that warmer feel. It's a psychological thing when buyers are walking into a house and it feels homey and it feels like, oh, this family really loves living here. More of a chance of just walking in and getting the thing sold. The houses become more like homes. And when we're a listing agent, when we're working with sellers, this is exactly what we want, right? When we're with sellers or working with sellers, we're always telling them, create that environment, make that home feel like a home, not just a house, right? A lot of people say, declutter it or take everything out or leave it cold and paint everything gray and blah, blah, blah. But when you look at it, especially this time of the year, when people are house hunting around the holidays, that family, kind of touch is what really is going to help the sellers drive these prices up, making houses feel more like homes. The homes just show better when they're decorated. It just is what it is, right? If you look into the standard thing that goes on the market from every flipper, every renovator, myself included, by the way, what is it? It's a gray box with a lot of glass and a lot of white, and it's blah and boring. We all do it because it sells and it's easy and it's neutral. But the truth is, the homes show better that are decorated when they're staged and decorated and set up for Christmas and Hanukkah and Kwanzaa and Festivus, and everything looks beautiful. Guess what? The buyer sees that as well. And yes, it might be more work for the seller to keep it clean or to get the decorations out or whatever. But the homes just show better when they're decorated, period. And that's going to help convert the buyers. Think about the neighborhoods, right? If you're in one of those neighborhoods where everybody does the lights and, has trees and lights and all the stuff going on, those festive neighborhoods, they just feel more welcoming. People feel their family being there. They get that feel that, hey, I want to live here. I want to do this next year. And that's going to help close them as well. Curb appeal is like at the best now that it's ever going to be, right? If I were to teach this class up north, it's a little bit different because you say, okay, the snow is scary. Things get dirty and ugly and wet and messy and blah, blah, blah. Down here, obviously, we don't have that. And curb appeal this time of year is at the best. The grass is alive, right? We're getting rain. So the greenery, everything looks green. It looks beautiful. We got hammered with rain this morning down south. And what happens? An hour later, everything looks full of life and looks beautiful. Then we have all the lights up. So everything looks great there. Then everyone's cleaning their house and doing everything because they know they have family or friends coming over or an event with the kids or the family or whatever it is. So curb appeal is at its absolute top right now. So why are we not going to take advantage of that? The photo and video packages right now that are bringing out the best of that, holiday decor, that is what's leading to higher prices, right? That is what's leading to these sellers absolutely cashing in and that holiday party kind of feel that people see not only in the pictures or online, but when they walk through the house or when they do the open house, these are the things that are really going to entice the buyers, and you need to take advantage of that. Right now, if you're not leveraging these things, these are, by the way, guys, these are the same things that all the sellers complain about, right? They say, well, we're decorated, all of our family stuff is out, we don't know if we want to show now. Well, think about it. If that's making them feel like they're having a more family approach or a more family feel, why would that not work for buyers? Right? Their house feels more like a home that time of the year. You ever visit someone's house like in the middle of July, right? There's just beach towels everywhere and sand everywhere. When you come in the winter, it feels like it's set up for a holiday. So they're going to use that, right, as a script or as an objection to complain. You guys need to go back at them and not just bend over and say, okay, I don't want to just give up on this. We need to push these sellers right now for all of these reasons, because when they say all of these things back at you as an objection, you need to be able to turn this into a positive as to why they should sell now. Take a tour of the neighborhood at night or go see the house at night or as soon as it gets dark and take some pictures or go on your listing appointments at night and comment on how amazing the neighborhood feels. Because when they spin, oh, well, it's the holidays, we don't want to do it. You're going to say, man, well, driving into that neighborhood was the best thing ever. Any buyer that comes in is instantly going to want to live here. And that's going to get you full price or above right away. We need to take advantage of all these things. Number 6, online searches are way up. Online searches from, I believe it's 2 days before Thanksgiving, all the way through the 1st or the 2nd of the year, are when things really blow up and numbers are always way up. And we always think holiday shopping, and part of that is true, right? Black Friday and Cyber Monday and all these crazy days where we just shop and buy stuff we don't need. Yes, of course, that drives up online searches. But I want you to think of all these things, right? More people are home. We already said more people take off this time of the year, right? From like 2 days before Thanksgiving through January 2nd is the more days are taken off during that period of year than any other part of the year combined. So we know there's more people home, there's more people off from work. When they're off from work and they're home, what happens? They're bored, right? They're trying to dodge going back to work or doing work. They're trying to dodge family, even sitting at Christmas, right? Or sitting at Thanksgiving or at holiday parties that they don't want to be at. What happens? They're on their phone. When they're on their phone, they're doing all these things. There's more searches for real estate. People are not looking at what to buy or all the little things that they start looking at real estate. And we need to take advantage of all these things. When online searches are up, that means our numbers are higher. That means our leads come in at a higher rate, right? If you ever notice, cost of leads goes way up this time of the year. Cost of internet leads, if you do any internet leads at all or really focus on that, you'll know that, right? From like mid-October through the first or second of the year, numbers are way up on cost of lead. And most of that, again, is because of shopping. But because there's just more people on, right? It's easier for them to take advantage of this. And more searches for real estate is good for us, right? That's more of an opportunity to capture. It's more of an opportunity to grab leads off social media. It's more of an opportunity for our sellers to be seen. We know there's less competition this year. We already said it. This time of the year, we already said it. So it's more opportunity for our sellers to be seen and get higher prices. Number 7, the sellers are still in control. At the end of the day, this is one of the things that scares the sellers the most. They think, well, what if someone wants to show it on Christmas? Well, guess what, guys? Set them up on the thing in the MLS where they get to approve or deny the appointments. And if someone wants to show on Christmas and they don't want to show it on Christmas, they just don't show it. It's not that hard. They need to understand they can still be flexible with showings, right? You can block out all the times in showing time or in whatever platform you use for showings and say, look, the sellers don't want to show after 6 at night. They don't want to show before a certain time in the morning. They only want to show here and there. And guess what, guys? Those motivated buyers that are out, they're going to follow those rules because they don't have a choice. If they want to see the house and they want to move, they're going to do it. So you have to help explain to the sellers that they get flexibility. It's not like they need to be available on Christmas morning at 9 o'clock to show the house to someone that needs to buy a house. They don't. Right? They can still have the blackout days. If Disney can have them, they can have them, right? Anybody can have those blackout days where they just say, look, I have family over Christmas Eve, Christmas Day, and I want my kids to play the day after Christmas. I'm just not showing. Or I want to block out all of Hanukkah because that's important to us. Or I take Festivus very serious and we're going to cancel. And we're just not going to do it that day. That's totally fine. But the sellers don't know this because they have this thing in their head that if they're on the market right now, they need to be available 24/7 to show. Otherwise, they're horrible people and they're not going to get a deal. That's not the case. Right. And we know right now, especially because of corporate moves and because of how crazy the market is, the buy now, occupy later happens more in this 30-day stretch than any other time during the course of the year. It's okay for someone to buy now, close, on Christmas Eve, or don't do that to our people. Actually, I take that back. Don't write closing on Christmas Eve, but it's okay for them to close 3 days before Christmas and then not move in until, the first weekend after the New Year's. That's okay. It's okay for the sellers. It's okay for the buyers. It's okay for everybody. We can do lease backs. There's 8 million options that we can do to make these things work. But you have to help the sellers understand that, it's not what it seems. It's not what the news says. It's not what their friend that sold the house once that lives, across the country says. The sellers are still in control. They can still have flexible showings. They can still have blackout dates. And if they don't want to move for Christmas because they want their kids to spend Christmas in the house, I get it. They don't want to move for New Year's because they have a family thing or Hanukkah or Kwanzaa or Festivus or whatever. Okay, got it. They don't need to move, right? They can buy now, get the deal done, have the financial security knowing that the deal is done, and then they can move after. We do it all the time. It's not a big deal. And number 8, this one I almost didn't put in there because I was scared of this one, but I'm just going to say it anyway. Number 8, one of the reasons why it's the most wonderful time of the year to help your sellers is because you are willing to work. And you have to ask yourself this question. Are you? Like, if you're willing to work now, you need to use that as leverage, because guess what, guys? I don't know if you know this, but between September and February is when all of the board renewals are due. It's when all of the people that, have been in real estate dabbling get out of the business. So what do we have right now? This time of year, we have more realtors exiting the business. This year, there'll be more realtors to exit the business than ever before, first of all. And this time of the year, it always happens anyway. Second of all, we have more realtors that take off from like Halloween, right? The second they get in costume until 4 days after they cure their hangover from New Year's Eve, they just decide that they're not going to work. So if they're not working and we are, that gives us an opportunity. That being said, if you don't want to work, obviously don't pitch this part. If you're taking off this time of the year, no judgment, by the way, spend the time with your family, do whatever you got to do, recharge. I get it. But if you're willing to work right now, you need to lean on that, that script or that piece of content when you're working with the sellers is, listen, most realtors are not working right now. I'm going to work. And the ones that are working right now are going to help the sellers get more money now than they ever thought was possible. And they're going to get the deal done easier. And by the way, a lot of title companies, a lot of mortgage lenders, all these people, shut off. We don't. We're checked in every day, all the time, right? Our people get Christmas Eve off and New Year's Eve off, and we're not the Grinch here. It's not like we force them to work every day, but they're working the rest of the time. We're at full capacity, full staff. Everything's going good. We're working. If you're working, you need to take advantage of that and play to your strengths. So many people are not going to work and they're already off work for the rest of the year. It's time to take advantage of that. So what I want you guys to do is, we're going to wrap up here with a little summary, but what I want you to do is anybody that you've had over the last year that's been a seller lead, you need to contact ASAP. Now if we're doing open houses here before the end of the year, we want to knock the doors around and make sure we're meeting all the other neighbors that are in the area and seeing if they are possible seller leads. And we want to dig up anyone in our database that has been thinking about selling or toying with the idea or should sell, and have some of these conversations with them. And I also want you to think of people in your life that should be selling right now. I've been having this battle with my parents for the last couple of months that they should be selling, right? Who do you guys know that their kids are out, they're in a house that's too big for them and they don't want to sell because the old, where would I go? Or they're too lazy or whatever. This might be the time that everybody looks back on the rest of their life and says, my God, I should have sold my house at the end of 2021. And, I don't want people to be stuck in 2025 still working because they chose not to sell their house in 2021 and made a bad mistake. So I think you guys need to be kind of like the shepherd of that message as well, right? I don't want to be doom and gloom, but the market can't go like this forever. The economy can't go like this forever. You've seen the stock market take an absolute beating the last couple of days, right? The mortgage rates can't stay low like this forever. It's not possible. We have to come out of this at some point. And while all signs point to 2022 still being a year of growth, albeit smaller, right? 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7%, as opposed to these crazy numbers that we've been seeing the last couple of years. You need to be the one that gets this message across to the sellers that now is the time to sell. And if they mess this up, it could change their finances for the rest of their life. It could change when they retire, the time they spend with their kids. And choosing not to sell because of holidays or New Year's or whatever is just silly. Some of them, no matter what, you guys realize, and you need to realize that they're going to fight you and you're not going to win this, right? If the seller really wants to outscript you that bad, let them. It's okay. This is not worth losing a relationship over or, losing a future client over that wants to sell on January 3rd. Some people are just going to be hard about this and it's okay. But trust starts with honesty, and you need to get out there and be honest with these people why you think now is the right time to sell. And if you've sat through this class and you don't agree, no hard feelings, it's all good. Right. But I will just tell you, from running a team and running offices, the sellers that choose to sell right now always do better. The agents that choose to work right now always have it better next year. Right. For a lot of you guys, you'll take these things, you'll put them into play. And by the end of February, you'll have a better year than most realtors will have the entire year because you chose to work the next 20 days. So I'm not the Grinch guy that tells everybody to work 24/7. Take the time off that you need, enjoy it, be present wherever you're going to go. But, for the next month, dig your heels in the trenches, even if it's just for the next 2 weeks, and then you take 2 weeks off. But in the next 2 weeks, you could get 10 listings. And that sets up the rest of your year, for next year just by doing this. So in summary, number one, remember, all these are going to be when we're talking to sellers, things that we need to hit. You're going to hear all of these objections, I promise you. But pick the ones that you want to focus on and the ones that you can have a rebuttal for and attack, right? So number one, lowest supply absolutely ever. So why is it the most wonderful time of year to sell the house? Because the lowest supply ever, on top of the winter already always being a lower supply time, the holidays already being a lower inventory time, we're at absolute historically low levels of inventory. And low levels of inventory is good for sellers. It's simple supply and demand, right? If there's less supply and there's a whole bunch of demand, they're going to get more money. It's very simple math, very simple economics. Number two, the formula of the market versus the affordability may be better for sellers now than ever before and really ever moving forward. And I want you guys to make sure that you drill this one home. Don't let them miss out on the best time of their life to sell their house because you were scared to have a tough conversation, because somebody else will have it with them, I promise you. But make sure they understand that the market being so high right now, prices being so high right now, and affordability being so good right now, it is the perfect storm that we might never see again in our lifetime. And if we do see it, look back at the last time, we saw it was 2006, right? And then the market was high, but the affordability wasn't really there. And it wasn't real, guys. If you guys were in the market or understand real estate at that time, the affordability, it was a mirage then. It wasn't real. Right now it's there and it's real. We might never see it again. And if you follow real estate cycles, usually a real estate cycle is like 11 to 13 years. We're on the deep end of it here, 15 years in. So if we do see this again, the math would say it should be like 2035, 2034, 2036, somewhere like that. Do people really want to wait for this to get there again? I know I don't. So, I think they should take advantage of that. Now, number three, third reason why it's the most wonderful time of the year, because the end of the year just brings those unique benefits, right? We talked about this. We talked about tax benefits. We talked about relocation, all those things. Number four, end of the year brings urgency. The buyers that are out right now are urgent. They need to buy. They're not frolicking around on Christmas Eve to buy a house because they think it's fun, right? They're doing it because they need to, whether it be a positive or a negative life experience, but they need to. They need to get it done. And urgency brings higher quality buyers, brings less negotiation. It brings higher prices, which is what the sellers want, right? Number five, because it's the most wonderful time of the year, is why it's the most wonderful time of the year for the sellers to sell. The houses look amazing. The neighborhoods look amazing. That homey feel is going to translate into more dollars, and we need to take advantage of that. Number six, online searches are way up. People are dodging work. People are dodging family. They're at events and parties and things that they don't want to be at. They're taking off work because they have to, right? Because they have days stacked up that if they don't use, they lose. So people have the mentality they just got to lose it, or they just got to use it. So they're going to sit home and twirl their thumbs and sit on the internet. So we know online searches are way up. We need to take advantage of that because our sellers are going to get more eyeballs. More eyeballs is always good. Number seven, the sellers are still in control. Remind them that it's still a wonderful time of the year to sell because they are still in control. They can have blackout dates. They can have blackout hours. They can have flexible showings. Right. And they can do a lease back or an occupy later, whatever you call it. They're allowed to, sell now and move later. Right. It's very doable. It happens all the time. And very often it's positive for the buyers and the sellers because it allows them to understand, first of all, that they're not going to be homeless on the holidays. And number two, it allows them to navigate the crazy market that we're in. Right. A lot of buyers want to buy now, but they have to sell, and they have this whole predicament, right? And if the sellers and the buyers are both flexible on that, especially this time of the year, it makes it easy for everybody. It's less stressful on all of your vendors. All those things are good. And number eight, because you are willing to work. And if you're not willing to work, no hard feelings, just scratch out number eight and don't mention it, right? If you don't want to work now, don't use this one. But if you are the person that's willing to work or needs to make money or wants to get your 2022 off to the absolute best possible stance it could start from, if you're willing to work right now, you're going to be the one that reaps the benefits of this, right? We know in real estate, the normal real estate sales cycle is usually about 90 days. So from the day you decide you're going to really start ramping up, you're usually looking at 90 days to get paid, because it takes you about 30 days to generate a lead, about 30 days to do a deal, and then about 30 days to get it closed. So usually you're 90 days away from getting paid. So if you start working today, the 6th of December, we're looking at a February, March pay time and closings that are happening next year, right? We're pretty much already done with closings for this year. We can get these things under contract and get your year next year to be the best year you're ever going to have. So I really do, I didn't just make this content to make a class. I really do believe that this is the best time of the year for sellers to sell. And I think you need to take advantage of that. So if you want the replay, I will get it out to everyone at Majesty somewhere in the next day or two, and they'll be able to send that out to you. So if you want to watch this back or use some of the scripts or some of the things I talked about, you can. As always, thank you guys for your business. If we're already working with you at Majesty, I appreciate it. If we are not yet, please let us know what we can do to earn the business. If we have not met yet at an in-person event, just know they are coming to your area. And we have a couple already coming up before the end of the year. Coming up next week, we're going to do the scripts you need before the end of the year. So we're going to talk about the scripts for your database. So what you need to say to your database before the end of the year. We're going to talk about buyer scripts. We're going to talk about seller scripts, some of what we did today. And then we're going to talk about my favorite, which is the January 1st expired script. If you didn't know this, 12/31, New Year's Eve, is the day that more homes expire than any day for the rest of the year. And one of the things that we always used to do on my team was, I hate to admit this, but I used to make everybody work on January 1st. And we would provide mimosas and massages and all these other fun things, but everybody worked on January 1st. And usually we would set more appointments on January 1st than the entire rest of the year than on any other day. Because on January 1st, all the people that said, well, I'm going to wait till New Year's, they don't have an excuse anymore. It's New Year's, right? And all the people that expired yesterday, we grab them today, right? And all the people that are hungover from New Year's Eve are easy appointments. So we're going to talk all about scripts next week. So we'd love to have you on for that. Carrie, thank you as always for the festive holiday themed slides. Everything looks awesome. And if you want to connect, if we're not already connected, here's how. My email is here. I'll just tell you I'm the worst at email because I'm on the road 6-7 days a week. So it's hard. But jump on my social, whether that's Facebook or Instagram. And more importantly, make sure you're in the private Facebook group. That at least always allows you to know what classes I'm doing, when I'm doing them, where I'm at. So if you ever want to see something in person or on Zoom, that's the best way to get me. That little image on the screen is called the QR code. If you don't know what it is, take the camera on your phone and just point it at that, and it will pop up a link that will take you directly to my private Facebook group. And you can request to join. And once you do that, the next time I get on Facebook, which will probably be tonight, I will accept all of you. So if you're not in there yet, if you're not in that group, make sure you join, because it always gives you the links for these classes and the availability to get in touch and come to one of our in-person events. If anybody does have any questions, I will hang on here for a minute. If not, thank you guys so much for joining. Hope you have a good day and make the most out of the rest of this year. Go get some sellers, guys. Have a good one.